Witness has taken 8 interviews so far. We're going to highlight a few minutes from 3 of those interviews. The first, Mikkel West, is a young woman whose mother has been incarcerated for 23 years. The second, Cheryl Ward, was incarcerated for 17 years. And the third, Ramona Brandt, received a life sentence.
I never had a chance to say goodbye to my mom other than her dropping me off to school that day and saying goodbye and me assuming that I would see her. No one told me my mom was in prison. I was able to look around and see that clearly there was an issue and she wasn't there.
So when's the first time you saw her?
I may have been about 13 or 14. She was in Danbury, Connecticut in a federal prison.
And you were still in Detroit?
I was living in Detroit, yes. She was moved all the way to Danbury, Connecticut from Michigan, opposed to a prison that is in Chicago, which is 6 hours away. She was moved 19 hours away. I wish my mom was here. I wish I could just pause my life. And because of that, that's why I haven't gone, far enough to even have children and things, because I'm still kind of like pausing my life, or a little girl at school waiting for her mom to pick her up. There's still that aspect. My mom has 2 life sentences in 50 years. There's people that have lived life and felt a shame. And the thing is, no one's perfect. People make mistakes. That does not mean that you should just throw this person away and throw away the key and they should just rot and die. It's like, let's really, truly, if this is considered a rehabilitation, then let's really rehabilitate. After this time, after 23 years, that's exactly where I am with this. And I deal with it, but I feel like I'm a little more emotional at times about it because it's just been something that's kind of dragging on. It's different if you have a date. Then you could say, okay, well, this is a date and we're going to work on maybe lessening that date. But right now, I'm just trying to, at this point, just get my mom out.
So listen, this is what happened to me because I'm very vocal.
Yeah.
And I speak my mind. I started my time in Dublin. Went to Danbury, came back to Dublin, went to Victorville, got sent to Texas and Carswell, was supposed to come back to the West Coast to go to Arizona camp. They sent me to Waseca. I left Waseca and went to Dublin camp. So I've done, that's why I knew a lot of people in Waseca, because the thing in Waseca was it didn't meld well what they did. Because each institution lives their life a certain way. So when they brought the girls in from all the different institutions, you started to, even if you didn't like girls at your institution, you became their friends because you stayed in your own group. But I knew everybody from everywhere. I had friends from every institution that came. They brought me back. I don't care, write me up. They brought me back because he had retired, but they needed the help. And then we had a transgender, and he kept calling the transgender by the male name, even when the Transgender Society of New York helped them through court. Video court changed their name. He refused to use the new name.
So did anything happen to him as a result?
No, we had a warden named Kuma Dubu there, so she had been in Dublin before, so I was talking to her one day. And I said, Warden DeBoo, what are they going to do with the transgenders? And she said, that's a big problem for everybody right now because nobody wants her. She said, they don't know what they're going to do with them. And that was back in like 2004, 3 or 4. So.
Upon my arrival back in D.C., Brooklyn, there was an officer who, for some reason, was always on my case about my jobs. I like to stay busy in prison. And so every time I had to be in her presence, she was always getting on me about having too many jobs. So when I arrived back and I was sitting in R&D, which is receiving and discharge, there was a message for me that she needed to see me. I was like, oh my gosh, here she is again. She's going to bother me about another job. And so to my surprise, as she approached me, I noticed this big smile on her face. I was like, oh gosh, she's really happy doing her job. And So in my mind, I'm awfulizing the situation and I'm preparing for a fight. And for the first few words that was spoken, I really did not pay attention to it because I was ready for a fight, not to receive the news that I had received clemency. And she said, I've been looking for you all over the place. I went to the unit. The night before, I had to go to segregation, which is special housing unit, because I had a procedure that required no food. So I had to be put in segregation. So she went to segregation looking for me. She couldn't find me. And so she says, and she's just going on and on and on. I'm like, what is this lady talking about? What does she want? So finally she says, I received a phone call this morning for you from the President of the United States. He granted you clemency. You're going home.
I'm so happy that you came to New York.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. This was great.
Thank you.
I am a witness to mass incarceration.
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 I am a witness to mass incarceration. 17 years, 6 months, 13 days, and 1 hour.